Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. Man, I don't know if it's the change in venues and the slightly different setup for the wall, but it feels like we have had a number of big weeks in a row. Tons of variants this week.
Yeah.
So many issues and graphic novels we had to really cram it in there, and a lot of them were really, really good. We had a hard time narrowing it down, so let's dive right into the picks. And what did you go with this week?
Yeah, so I went with Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu issue 9.
Yeah.
And so if you've been reading this series, which if you haven't been, you should. Like the last couple years of Moon Knight under Jed McKay have been nothing short of fantastic.
Probably, I mean, maybe the best run of Moon Knight ever?
To be fair, Moon Knight's one of those characters where he actually has, I feel like a lot of good runs on him.
Most of them are really short, though.
There is that, yeah. A lot of them do tend, for whether by design or by just the whims of the market, do tend to be on the short side. Yeah. Whereas this run is, it's volume 9, yeah, but, between the different volumes McKay has been writing, we've got to be getting close to, issue 50 of...
Yeah, I would think,
yeah. But, yeah, anyway, so this issue, if you've been reading this current, run of it, the main thing that Moon Knight's been dealing with is there's this new, crime lord in town, Achilles Fairchild, who turns out is an Asgardian. So he's got, access to all these kind of, magical things, and he's made this drug called glitter, which is, in a lot of ways just kind of like a normal, super addictive drug and everything. Right. But it's got this magic component where if you try to quit it, you die.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah, so you're locked in.
Yep.
And so part of this book has been them trying to figure out okay, we can't just go and take him down, because if we do, all these people are going to die because they don't have access to this drug anymore. So they've been trying to figure it out. They've gotten in contact with Hank Pym, which I absolutely I love the dynamic between Mark and Hank, because they very clearly do not like each other for multiple reasons. Are just very personality-wise very different.
Yep.
And
have worked together in the past.
Yeah.
And also have both dated Tigra.
Yeah.
So all kinds of...
Yeah. Also, I love... it was the issue not the issue right before this one, but the one before that, I believe, where it's where Hank kind of gets brought back in.
Yeah.
And there's this fun little conversation between them, because they're kind of in terms of superheroes, the two most prominent examples of characters with various disorders, whereas Hank has bipolar disorder, Mark has multiple personality. So there's this weird thing where they both are used to people calling them crazy and all these awful things, and they know that's not what they are, but they also it doesn't mean that they like each other anymore, for they're kind of shared,
right?
Yeah. But so they think okay, we've got this might be a cure, but we got to test it. And so Mark, being Mark, ever the sufferer of pain, is I'll volunteer for it. And so most of this issue is him basically going through the worst trip of his life, just being visited by all the specters of some of his recent enemies who've just done all these horrible things to him. And here it's even worse, because it's well, no, this is just in your mind. You're just thinking these awful things about yourself. And they're saying some stuff that's just oh, if that's true, buddy, that you got some stuff to work through. Yeah. And
he's got a therapist in this book, so...
Well, it's interesting, because that does come up as a point of just when was the last time you went to therapy?
It's been a minute. Well... Has he, since he's been back?
Well, that's the thing, because you stop and think, it's wait, no, when was the last time he actually saw his therapist?
Yeah. I think shortly before he went on his suicide mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's him just going through I love how Hunter's Moon refers to it as oh yeah, you were having visions. That's just kind of don't worry about it. Mark's just I think I should worry about it. And I love their whole dynamic, because they've got this whole brothers in arm things going, but also Hunter's Moon is way more into being an actual follower of Khonshu. He is I'm a fist of my god, I do as he pleases. And Mark is I kind of hate him.
Yeah.
But he's how I'm alive, so I guess I work for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like their whole dynamic has been fun this entire time. Easily one of my favorite additions to like the whole Moon Knight mythos is just like having this other guy around who's just way more into it than Mark is. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so like they think they've kind of figured it out. They're finally ready to take the fight to Fairchild. And we'll see where it goes. It looks like next issue, I think, is also... Yeah, next issue is going to be the Legacy 250th issue.
Ooh, very cool.
For Moon Knight. So we'll see how that goes. Big things I'm sure are going to happen.
Wow.
But yeah, no, this run, all the character work with Mark, the new regular artist, I'm blanking on their name, let me double check here. Devnalia Pramanik. They came on because the previous main artist moved on to do Ultimate Wolverine. And so obviously anytime there's like a big like art change on a book where like there's a very specific art style that like defines why people enjoy it, you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And yeah, no, he's been like knocking out of the park. Like especially his layouts for some of the like vision sequences are super good. Like they're like, I miss Capuccio because having him draw Moon Knight's great, but like I can't say I'm sad to have Pramanik on here. His stuff is just killer. But speaking of a book that is also involves a character who is very intense and very violent.
Yeah, I went with Invincible Universe Battle Beast #2. So this is the return of the pair of Robert Kirkman and Ryan Ottley, not only on Invincible, but they've done a few other projects together. And in the end of this, there's a nice letter from Ryan Ottley to the readers, kind of welcoming people, whether they've been longtime followers of Invincible or whether they, got exposed to it through the Amazon Prime series and are now just getting into comic books. He kind of talks about how, any way that we're reaching new people and getting more comic books into hands and read, it's great because, he really loves the medium of comic books, and talked specifically about how while in Invincible's run, which ended in 2018, I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah. He got to do a few cool, story arcs with Battle Beast, but really wanted to do more with the character because he's so fun. And yeah, he is fun. Like if you take, Conan the Barbarian plus Orion and then just make him super psychotic on top of it, and he's got this whole deal of he wants to die in glorious battle. So in order for it to be glorious battle, he has to give it his all every single time. And that means he's not able to lose to anybody, and he cannot die in glorious battle, and he doesn't want to starve to death or die of old age or any of those things. It has to be in battle, so somebody's got to. So that's the whole thing, right? So he's kind of picked up this cast of characters is starting to build around him. He's got a ship that hates him and is trying to help him find a way to die. The ship doesn't care if he dies in glorious battle, though, so the ship's going to do anything it can to just make sure that he either dies or is so isolated that he just can't do any damage anymore. And then he's got this former gladiator guy who, he savage, whatever, who's just kind of
there.
Yeah, not all of them, though.
Yeah.
Prince, and I can't remember, Akalanan or something, whatever. So anyway, there's a little bit of betrayal in this one, but then of course it ends up being all right because he ends up fighting in basically like a gladiatorial pit to be able to earn some money because they need money in order to go do the next thing that they need to do to try to find somebody who's bigger and badder than the last one that he just defeated pretty easily. So it's got some kind of like, this is maybe weird and maybe just super obvious, but it's got some One Punch Man dynamics to it.
I can see that.
Yeah, in that, there's a lot of build up to the fight. There's a lot of hope by the main character. We're not going to call him a protagonist because he's not a good guy.
I mean, you can be a protagonist without being a good person.
He's capable of, but it's by happenstance, not by because he actually chooses to do anything good. Although there is an effort to maybe kind of change his view of the galaxy or the universe or existence or whatever. But there's this kind of build up to the expectation of, wow, this person that I'm going to fight really is a big bad. Hopefully this is the time that I actually get challenged. And of course, even when it looks like he's down, it's sometimes he's just a cat playing with a mouse. But literally bite somebody's face off in this one. It was amazing. Ryan Otley's art on this is, like if someone were to walk up to you and tell you like, hey, you were born to draw gushing blood and gore. I don't know if you would take it as a compliment unless you're Ryan Otley, because he obviously is really into doing that.
Really, really good at that kind of stuff.
And it's not just grotesque. Like, I mean, it is, but it is in kind of a fun way. Like, I don't know. It's escapist.
It's very over the top in like a way where like you're definitely still like supposed to like take what's happening seriously, but there's also like, I wouldn't necessarily like a comedic tone to it, but like it's like it's pushing about as far as you can go without making it just like a Three Stooges stick on steroids. So. Yeah,
there's the face being ripped off, and it's somewhere it's Deadpool-esque, like it's. I mean, other than the fact that Battle Beast absolutely takes himself serious, like that's. I mean, honestly, just composition-wise, both color and the drawing of it, it's just an amazing picture, but it's somebody just gushing blood out of their chest. So
and like you're saying, characters like Battle Beast, where like their whole thing is like, I want to have the best fight I can possibly have. I want to like it's part of why if you're a Bleach fan, a lot of people's one of their favorite characters is the character Kenpachi Zaraki. His whole thing is just like, I want like he's a dude who like legit like. He wears like an eye patch and like fights one-handed just to like make the fight more like fair for like who's ever, because he's just like, no, I want like, come on, like push me, try me. Like he's like, those kind of characters are always just fun to see, like just kind of like thrown up against like, what's the biggest thing you can throw at them and can they overcome it?
Yeah. Now I'm seeing another parallel between King Tiger, right? Like, yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, people are probably going to say that I need therapy because I love the violence and gore in this book so much. But I don't know. Yeah, there's just something about the tone. Like it's not flippant, but it's also not taking itself completely seriously. Yeah. It's like so over the top.
It's reveling in it.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of reveling in, we have really enjoyed this book, but it was close this week. We really had to debate which of a handful of titles was going to make our consensus pick, but we ended up going with
Absolute Flash issue 4. And honestly, I think this might be my favorite issue of the run so far.
It's like, very good.
It really, because I've liked, obviously we've liked the entire series so far. I think every issue's been up here when it's come out.
I think so.
Yeah. But I think this one does the best job of like striking a balance between all the different like parts of it, because you get some really nice character stuff with Wally and a little bit of Grodd. We meet some new characters. We find out some more stuff about like what was going on at like the at Fort Fox with Barry Allen and everything. We get a little bit more of a character that just kind of like happened to pop up in the last issue, and now we're starting to see like, oh, you might be like a bigger thing going on here. Yeah. And we get a little bit more of the Rogues, which I really enjoy their dynamic here of like, they're definitely a team that doesn't like entirely get along.
Yes.
Their whole thing is very fun.
We see Barry again, and there is more going on there than we are privy to at this point in time.
You get a little more of a sense of like some of the, again, like with the last week's Batman, some of the connections between some of the books are starting to become a little more apparent. And like, and not in ways where like, if by chance, I know we've got people that they're reading only like this absolute title or this absolute title, same thing with the Ultimate books. Yeah. It's not like intrusive, like it's not like, oh,
jarring.
I feel like I need to go like read this to understand what's happening. It's more of like a kind of like throwaway thing where if you don't know, it's not a problem, but if you do, it's just like, oh, okay, what's happening here?
I think we mentioned this last week with Absolute Batman. About I really love how much time they are taking. They're not just throwing us into this combined universe. We're getting to know each character individually, and from that, then we're going to get this organically grown combined universe. Yeah, it's been great.
And I love how like part of that's like each character is kind of like taking their own like speed in terms of like getting to, because like with some of them like Batman, Wonder Woman, like they're just like superheroes right off the bat, like they're out there doing their thing. Superman's kind of the same, but he's like very much still trying to keep a low profile doing good things. Wally like is just like, I don't know what's happening, man. Like what am I supposed to do? Like he's just kind of like trying to figure life out, and that's hard enough being a 15-year-old. And then you've got superpowers that may have also come from like this kind of like mentor figure dying a horrible death. Like it's a lot to process.
Him.
Yeah, like whether it be like literally or like in his mind. It honestly, I'm not sure yet. Like it's a little.
I think it might be more literal than.
I mean, I think it might be. Yeah, like there's definitely like again like the way that the Flash's powers work in this universe are very different. And it's still kind of like unclear, like to what extent they like what exactly like he can all do maybe with those powers. But the more we learn, the more it's just like, oh, okay, like it's and but again, like I mentioned before, like a lot of the stuff I usually love in a Jeff Lemire book is the character stuff, and we get a lot of that in this issue of Wally meeting some new characters and just kind of like trying to like actually have some human connection with them. I really like the work with his dad in this issue, really, because we haven't really gotten a whole lot of him so far, and what we have has just been kind of like the like rough, like I'm a military man, but I'm also your dad, and I can't really like differentiate the two when I'm like being around you. And here we get like a lot more like, oh, we really get an idea of like how he views this entire situation. Like, dude is like stressed out; he is not happy. Like,
and that's an interesting wrinkle, right? Because we kind of are seeing how he might be bumping into he's not the big dog that can call all the shots, and there might be forces at work here who have been actively pushing against his efforts, or at least not working with him and keeping him in the dark about their own efforts because he's just the military man that was in charge at the base. Turns out the science division might have actually been higher up the pecking order than he knew.
And again, without like going to spoilers, there's like the certain character that shows up is definitely a different take, and considering like who they're supposed to be, I am so curious to see what they do with that, because it's going to be a very different dynamic between them and Wally than I think we've ever seen these characters happen. And like again,
I thought the name was clever too.
Oh yeah, no, I love the name, but like it's like, and again, that's part of the fun of these books. Is just like how can you like change these relationships? And this is very much like a different like approach to it, because Barbara's also like, Wally and this character normally don't have like, there is a connection there, but it's more of a character that has a connection with like Barry. So considering how that's all going on, like how they're going to like,
I did get a hint of that kind of envy element of the original relationship.
There's certainly them, because they're you can tell they're struggling not to just like turn to someone and be like, this is really cool, right? Like all these horrible things, it's awesome. Like they're trying not to show, but they're definitely like super excited about like this new stuff. I gotta check it out.
And speaking of which, we get dropped at the end of it that there were more science experiments going on, and they may be tied to more legacy characters,
and that they also may be loose and about to cause a lot of havoc. And it's like some of them
interesting choice.
And because like, and some of them are the ones you'd expect to like show up, and then there's like one in particular is just like,
what are they doing there? Although if we're thinking teenager, if it's the one you're thinking of, teenager, there could be a cool dynamic.
I could see it being fun, but it's not exactly what you'd expect. But like in a way, we're just like, okay, let's see where this goes. Which again is when you do alternate universe books, part of the whole fun is you gotta be able to like recognize it enough to like be like, oh, this is that thing I like, but also then different enough where it's not you're just like, because we've definitely seen alternate universe books where like, oh, this is pretty part and parcel to like the main like universe. So like, why can't this just be like? Whereas this is just like, no, like things are like undeniably different and like weird and crazy, but in like a super fun way.
Yeah. Yeah. What are we, 20 years removed from the original Ultimate universe?
A little over that, yeah.
Yeah. I think that they've taken some good lessons in don't try to copy the characters too exactly, right? Like if you do interesting twists kind of throughout the characters, then it gives you a little more leeway with the story and so forth, instead of, just making them feel like, I don't know, kind of odd knockoffs or less likable knockoff. I felt like the whole Ultimates universe, most people were bigger jerks in the Ultimate universe.
No, that's the thing. Like I'll be honest, is like I feel like and this, I don't know if this is a hot take, like the only part of the original Ultimate Universe I particularly enjoy is Bendis' Spider-Man run.
It's what almost everybody says.
And like, there's other things I do like, but a lot of it, there are a lot of times it just feels like they were going like, what if everyone was just more of just an asshole?
Yeah, for sure. It's just a bunch of people being jerks to each other. Yeah. And to the point where I felt like there were times where characters were straight up bullying each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of uncomfortable to read.
But
anyway, all right. Well, speaking of Ultimates, I know that one of the books that almost made it up here was an Ultimate book.
Yes, Ultimates issue 13 almost made it up here. It's the start of Ultimates 3.0, because 1.0 was then trying to send all the like packages out to people to become superheroes. Did not work out. 2.0 was kind of the first main iteration of the team, which wasn't really working out. 3 is now, what if we just kind of like do everything? What if we're trying to like raise people's awareness of all the stuff the council's doing, making more heroes, like actually properly like training them, not just like, here's a box with superpowers, have fun with that. Like,
right, yeah.
Yeah, and like just all the different ways everyone's approaching it, and like certain characters' agendas compared to others.
Right.
Yeah,
and central to this is going to be Luke Cage and Danny Rand.
Yes.
Who are very interesting versions of them. I feel like the Luke Cage is kind of the core of Luke. Like that could be 616 Luke Cage in just a different situation. A lot of the other characters, maybe not so much, but I really dig Luke Cage in this.
Oh, Ultimate Luke is fantastic. Yeah. I love him. Yeah, other good stuff this week. There's a new Crypto miniseries out because they're doing their whole Summer of Superman.
Yes, not the digital money. It's the dog.
Honestly, the restraint on DC and Warner Brothers for not trying to get into that market is I commend it, because I know how these companies like to make a quick buck sometimes, and they're dodging that bullet. Thank God. But no, this first issue, Ryan North, who if you've been enjoying Fantastic Four, writes a really like fun, but at times kind of like bittersweet, anything to do with like the origins of like Superman characters. It's usually there's a certain element of sadness to it. Yeah. But yeah, like getting to see Crypto kind of like start his journey to becoming like Superman's dog and everything. It's super cute. Also, they're doing reprints here of Adventure Comics 210, the first appearance of Crypto, which also they decided, hey, we're going to have like a golden ticket in these that...
it's only 2 worldwide.
That if you get it, you get to go to the world premiere of the new Superman movie. And I'm going to open my copy now and find out if I have a copy. You can talk about your stuff while I get this open, because
for sure. So G.I. Joe continues to be good. The Energon universe, again, talking about taking time to kind of organically grow things.
I love this supposed
to. I would guess. Well, at least he was kind about it.
Like I was like, okay, how are they going? Because I wasn't sure. It's like, is this going to be like in the book somewhere?
The golden biscuit.
But they're like, they just got like a little thing here in the
they
front.
let you down gently.
Yeah, and you get a cute little drawing of Crypto too, so you can't be mad about that.
Right. Yep.
And hey, this is the only ways you're going to get this and not have to pay like at least a couple $100 for it.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So try your luck.
Yeah. G.I. Joe introduces a new character. I knew exactly who it was going to be from the first panel that character was interacting with. They weren't directly there, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. That was fun. We got to get a little more insight into the backstories of a couple characters. I don't think one of them was being completely honest during that, though.
I think there's
I had a hard time believing what they were saying.
Yeah, like I think there's an element of truth to it because that's how you do the best lies, and this is someone who I think is very, very good at doing that.
Yeah. Although, they were insistent about not being seen. So there's something there, but it's not quite what we were told, I think.
Yeah.
And we also get some insight into one of the Joes is fraternizing with a Transformer.
Yeah.
And has to keep it quiet because they are seen by the U.S. government at this point as all enemies. There's no distinction between the two groups because they don't know that there are two groups. What's going on?
Because there's the bit where it's Cobra Commander and Destro are watching footage of the recent battle in Seattle.
Yeah.
In time for that to rhyme.
I like that.
Between the two Decepticon factions, and they're just like, that's a lot. That's a just how do we deal with that?
Well, and they picked maybe it's super obvious, but when I was reading it, I was like, these are if you were to just grab the two best Transformer and Joe character to mix together, it's these two, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're just iconic. They're both from, original waves. So, just super cool. It was a lot of fun to see. What else? I feel like, Zatanna. Zatanna was really, really good. We do also have, they're just calling it Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, Spider-Man, but it's Spider-Man Blue.
Yeah, I don't know why they're calling it.
I don't know either. They're doing that with all of them.
But because the whole gimmick was it was color coded,
I don't know why they're walking away from it,
but it's good stuff. So come read it.
It's great, So I think they're re-releasing Hulk Gray, Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue. I don't know about Captain America White. That one dropped so much after all the other ones.
Yeah, I'm sure
that was within the last 10 years.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably do it just because to complete the set.
Yeah.
But I think. There's a lot of opinions I had when I was younger reading comics. I look back now and just you were a stupid little child. And one of them was as a kid, I did not like Tim Sale's art. And now I looking at someone just God, no one doesn't like him. Dude was one of the best we ever had.
Yeah, well, and I will admit there are points in his career where I like it better than others. But that's
every artist.
Yeah. But, very exciting stuff there. Now, speaking of other exciting stuff, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, so the last weekend of June, we're going to be up at the River Hills Mall with a bunch of other retailers. There's going to be a convention with comics, vinyl, vintage video games, trading card games, toys, all kinds of cool stuff. So it's just going to be in the concourse. Honestly, so it's through Quad City Con. And so it's based out of Iowa. They do, if you go to their website, which we'll put a link to in the notes, there's a whole ton of them that they run. And when I met with John, the guy who's organizing it, he talked about, specifically that they're trying to make it so that it's a vendor customer type of con as opposed to, making, spectacle and having it be about celebrities or any of that kind of thing. So he likes to go to kind of mid-sized towns and set up, not that they don't do bigger ones because they do Quad City. So I'm interested in seeing what it's about. I'll be completely upfront. They've been thin on the information. I talked to him last winter and then waited and didn't hear anything. And then one day I just got a packet in the mail with the advertising stuff. And I was like, I guess this is still happening. And now I know the dates. And so we've been kind of quietly advertising it here in the store. But I was emailing back and forth with him and he said, specific details we'll have next Monday. So we should have, I know that we've got a 10 by 10 booth up there, but I don't have a vendor list or anything. So I know that they had room for up to 60 vendors. And I know that some local sellers have contacted me for his contact information, which we can also put in there. But, you know, if you just go to quadcitycon.com, I think is what it is, it's got his email right at the top of the website. But I would guess maybe at this point that they're full. But if you're looking to sell some stuff, wouldn't hurt to reach out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited about it. We haven't done a show in a long time because, quite honestly, between just kind of the decline in the popularity of like the superhero movies and that kind of thing, since that had taken over so much of the cons, they've kind of had a hard time figuring out what they do now. And, you know, COVID and all of that happened. And so attendance at those things. And then we just had a number of the local cons had big shakeups in the organizations that were running them and so forth. So we haven't really hit a point where things have been firing at a level that we've been comfortable investing in it. So I'm really excited to go set up a booth, even if it's across town. But it's been a while. I think we did Fall Con.
We did a toy one a couple years ago.
Oh, we did do a toy one a couple times. So that was local too. But yeah, there you go again. You know, the guy that was organizing that just isn't sure, you know, what exactly he wants to do with it anymore. So anyway, all right. Well, that's not this coming weekend, but the last weekend in June. So check out the details for that. We will be back next week, though, with more picks because every Wednesday there are brand new comics that hit the shelves, and we try to read as many of them as we can because we love doing it, and it's an excuse to, you know, be able to tell you what we really enjoyed that week, which we love doing. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, share. Check out the links, and we'll be back next week. Until then, enjoy the reading.
So next week we're going to tell you what comics we don't like. I don't like Bloodletter. What even is this? It's a Spawn book. So I mean, I'll be honest. Agnostic is probably the term I would use. But that's my general opinion towards Spawn. I'm just like, I see the appeal. I just don't care.